Part 76. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 754. This is at a ramen shop. I'm very busy writing books at home every day, Daifeng said shamelessly while holding hot noodles. I thought to myself, I would hide in my room after breakfast and come out again after dinner. The main purpose is to eat and read. I don't want to wash dishes, chop sticks, or do housework. Anyway, I don't understand any of them, so I pretend to be very busy. I haven't unfolded the ship's equipment for a long time, and I don't know how to fly the carrier-based aircraft. However, the big mackerel and the archer fish often go swimming when they have nothing to do, and they even met many friends from the ship girl headquarters. I hope they can interact more with ordinary people. Just for fun, Daifeng picked up a big bowl of noodles with chopsticks. She was just talking nonsense. A ship girl can control the ship's outfit as soon as she wakes up. This is an ability engraved in her bones, like a person who never forgets to breathe. It was quite a while ago, last summer. No, the summer before last, the big mackerel and the archerfish went out to play. They went out in the morning and brought someone back in the afternoon. The clothes were in tatters and the hair was disheveled, as if something had happened. Admiral, don't show that expression, as if the ship girl was attacked by the deep-sea ship girl and was severely damaged. The archer fish told me with his tongue out. Daifeng thought for a while. As long as the ship girl sees the deep-sea ship girl, she will have a deep feeling of disgust. Generally speaking, there will be no ship girl attacking the ship girl. The thing happened to be a little unexpected. The archer fish thought Shinano was sailing on the sea as an enemy, so he launched a torpedo and almost sunk him. Finally, there was no big problem. Although it took a lot of effort, it was still saved. After asking, Shinano had just woken up and had no one to rely on, so he brought him back, and then he lived there and became a cook and nanny. Is there such an operation? Sugu was unconscious while holding the chopsticks. He was really surprised. After eating a lot of ramen, Daifeng started to drink the soup. She took a big mouthful and said, I also feel amazing, but things just happened. I don't dare to write like that in a novel, I can only talk about reality. Better than the novel. If I were Shinano, instead of giving archer fish a lesson, I would actually follow him home, Sugu said. Fortunately you are not Shinano, Daifeng said. Anyway, Shinano has a very good relationship with the archer fish. She even gave the ribbon on her longbow to the archer fish. If you see the archer fish, her spear gun, there is a green ribbon tied to it, a proof of friendship. Sugu said, does this mean we don't know each other without fighting? Probably. Daifeng suddenly pointed at Sugu with his chopsticks. Admiral, you should be happy. Don't you want it, Admiral? What do you want? Sugu didn't understand. Shinano, Daifeng thought to himself. He knew the character of his admiral very well. No matter how much the governor's office tried to rob him, he would want any new ship girl. Suguzuo looked at what Huda was eating. I glanced to my right and saw a mother and son walking by holding hands in the aisle. He shyly said, if possible, that would be the best. Daifeng said, then you have to give people a good impression and dress up handsomely. Am I not handsome enough to brag? Sugu smiled. Daifeng said, be gentle and don't quarrel with Ruhi. Although we know that you two have a good relationship, others don't know what to think when they see you quarreling with your ship girl every day. At least you have behaved better these days, and we will talk about it after you bring it back to the town guard house. Quarrel? Why have I ever quarreled with Ziwahi? Not before, not now, not in the future, Sugu thought to himself. Shinano can't be more difficult to deal with than Missouri, right? For a little while, as long as he returns, no one can be naughty in the town hall. Lexington may not be able to do it, but Akagi and Kaga can take action. They are the seniors of the first air battle. Daifeng said to Ruhi, Ruhi, you two, don't make excuses. Ruhi was eating ham, but was not so cooperative. She said to Sugu, "Please." Hood smiled lightly. Sugu paused, put down his chopsticks, and clasped his hands together. "Please, Ruhi, please. Please, beg, 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 hold Zaya's eye and beg, pinch Quincy's face and beg, I beg you to turn 360 degrees in the ice and snow, please increase the amount without increasing the price. If you want, you can do whatever you want. Just take away all the beef in my bowl, or let me feed you." The noble admiral is shameless. Princeton brings energy to little lowly Cushing. Zeppelin all relied on Akagi and Bismarck. The second daughter, Andrea, brought the eldest daughter, Kaya. The only one that can be considered a self-made attack is Missouri, which comes with a Hindenburg. The giant elephant hasn't joined the garrison yet, so it's basically stable, so forget it. Think about it, you are the admiral and leader, and the credit of the ship girl is also your own credit. Anyway, Sugu leaned back in his chair, those admirals will do anything for a battleship. What's face worth? How much does it cost per pound? Hey, that's the Shinano, the third Yamato-class ship, armored aircraft carrier. Daifeng pursed his lips. Actually, although it is the third Yamato-class ship, her ship equipment parameters are not high, especially the number of aircraft carried is pitifully small, but the armor is a little higher. From a historical perspective, after the Battle of Midway, the Japanese Naval Aviation Force suffered heavy losses and was in urgent need of replenishing aircraft carriers, so it decided to convert the Yamato Type No. 3 ship into an aircraft carrier. Since the end of the line has been reached, many skilled workers should be recruited into the army. In order to solve the manpower problem, we have to use civilian shipbuilding workers, students from marine engineering schools, and even private middle school students. The latter point is a bit debatable. After all, Japanese middle school students are the ones who save the world. In short, under such extreme circumstances, it was completed 5 months ahead of schedule. The quality can be imagined. Thinking of this, Sugu really didn't know what expression he should show. Ruhi said expressionlessly, "Someone doesn't care if he is strong or not. If he is beautiful, he can forgive anything. The Yamato has never appeared. Well, model worker Fukumae Yamato doesn't count. I have been thinking about what Yamato should look like. It must be Yamato Nades Hiko. She is gentle and gentle, likes to wear kimonos, and has beautiful black hair. The eldest sister, I feel almost like Fuzu. Anyway, Yamato's younger sister, Shinano, has long dark blue and purple hair that she likes to tie into a ponytail. She's not very elegant or dignified, but she's very cute and has little tiger teeth." Daifeng said to Sugu, "It definitely suits your aesthetics, Admiral. Although he is not very tall, he has big breasts and a round butt." "That's good." Thinking like this, Sugu said, "I don't care about this." Hey, no one agreed. Daifeng bit the end of his chopsticks. Speaking of which, her cooking skills are really good. She prepares breakfast and lunch boxes for everyone every day, and then goes out to work. Sometimes she comes home very late from work, and we can only wait. Hang with her, or go out to eat. Is she so busy at work, Consultant Sue? Daifeng explained, she always makes mistakes at work, so she can only do some simple tasks, such as handing out flyers and dressing up dolls. It's just like South Dakota, Sugu said. She is a ship girl. She will just stay in the garrison from now on. Her training level is not high, but her carrier-based aircraft is pretty good. Tianhe, a super powerful torpedo aircraft. There are also Gale and Meteor, Daifeng said, especially Tianhe. When there is no one around, she likes to chat with Tianhe. What she ate at night, what was delicious, what was not delicious, and what happened today. You must not take action against her, Tianhe, she will be angry. Sugu said, I returned the B-25 to Bumblebee, and I have already changed it. Ziwei scoffed. Daifeng said, she really wants to become a battleship, even once. Sugu said, Glory wants to become an aircraft carrier again. With a smile that couldn't be concealed on his face, Daifeng said, it's really amazing to say that she is an armored aircraft carrier, and she is actually equipped with torpedoes. She is stupid, she doesn't understand anything, she is an ignorant girl, she needs us, teach her bit by bit. Anyway, it was almost half a year before she discovered that she had a torpedo on her body, and then she gave the torpedo to the archer fish. Sugu thought to himself, it is said that the archer fish fired 4 torpedoes at Shinano, one of which was a misfiring torpedo, so that's it? Daifeng said, in the novel I wrote, the unlucky girl accidentally picked up a young girl, and it was the 2 of them. Ruhi said, let me tell you, judging from that description, it's not you and the big mackerel at all. Their personalities are completely different. Daifeng said, I originally wanted to write an article about your torpedo. Shinano, a female high school student in the Kyoto Club, has been carrying a torpedo since birth for some reason. No, the torpedo is too weird. Art processing for a moment, it would be better to change it to a ring, jade pendant, or necklace. It feels like the story of Dream of Red Mansions. In short, an encounter in a dream, with hazy memories of past lives, Shinano began to search for the you I have never seen before. The journey is like an archer fish. Traveling through time and space, exchanging bodies, it will be exciting to bring these elements together. Why don't you write it, Consultant Su? It feels like it's too difficult and I can't control it for the time being. The unlucky girl Ziwikaku said, Shinano. She is also an unlucky person. Normally, he would have been silent. Happiness is indeed relatively obvious. Daifeng said with a smile, good lucky okay, I admit, my luck is also quite bad, unfortunate girl. But Shinano, I think it should be I was one of the lucky ones. I stepped on a banana peel while walking on the road and fell down. The underwear hanging on the balcony was blown away by the wind. The newly bought piggy bank fell down that night. The newly made Sunny doll hung on the window and was picked up by a cat all afternoon. Gone. Historically, it was only 10 days after Shinano was announced that it was completed. It was attacked and sank quickly within 10 hours of sailing overseas for the first time. It holds the record for the fastest sinking in the history of ships. Her luck is not bad, no one is worse. With a chuckle, Daifeng was glad that the noodles didn't spurt out of his nostrils. She bit her lip, held her chest up and down, waited for a long time, and became calm. Yesterday, just yesterday. When she came back at night, she said that her lunchbox had been knocked over and her wallet was lost. Then she complained and held on with all her strength. She caught a thief, and the thief was not the one who stole her wallet. It's rare to meet a good person, just remind her and help her catch the thief. These are the good people, ha ha ha, I wonder what they said to her? Daifeng held her belly and said, what a show of brains. During dinner in the evening, she kept putting food on the archerfish. Then she said, archerfish, my heart beats wildly when I see you. Are you in love? I like you. Are you there? The archerfish didn't know what to say, and the big mackerel was lying on the table laughing. In the last whole night, Shinano huddled in the corner, drawing circles, talking about revenge, cursing you, bastard, he hated you to death. This kind of thing is not funny at all unless you see it with your own eyes, so Ziwei played it off. After a pause, she felt very familiar. She asked, Daifeng. Shinano, did she buy 2 big dolls for the big mackerel and the archerfish yesterday? How do you know? Ruhi explained. Sugu's expression became more and more ugly, and Daifeng whispered, if God does evil, you can still violate it, if you do evil by yourself, you will not live. After returning home worried, Sugu still didn't think of what to do if he met Shinano later. As the door creaked, the archer fish and the big mackerel came back from school. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 755. It's 4:30. Silly monkey, you are back. Sitting on the sofa in the living room, Sugu, who was still frowning and thinking about Shinano, heard a soft, childish, and energetic voice. He quickly looked at the door and saw two delicious little Lolita walking in. She has blonde hair with twin ponytails and blue hair tips. The leader is obviously a big mackerel. It's a pity that she has been transformed and is no longer a little girl. The baby fat-loving cook big mackerel can probably only be seen in dreams. If we had known today before, we would never have changed it no matter what. The cuckoo cried blood and returned my young daughter. With her long hair tied into a ponytail, it goes without saying that she must be a shooting fish. Judging from the game's illustrations, the little round face of the unaltered archer is extremely cute. But what is lost is what is gained in the East. A blessing in disguise is a blessing in disguise. After the modification, the archer fish's big bust is painted, and the butt is also so addictive that I have done the matter of placing the secretary ship after the big bust several times. I scanned around the living room and compared them. Indeed, her figure was much more terrifying than those of Hood, Ruhi, and Daifeng present. Sugu saw them, either mentally or not. They were sitting in the entrance hall changing shoes, but they didn't see Sugu. Then I felt a little confused because I found several pairs of unfamiliar shoes. I looked around and thought, are there guests? Big mackerel, archer fish Hood was looking at the ink paintings hanging on the wall. She saw the two little Lolita and said hello first. It had been a long time since they had seen each other. Even the famous stuffed cat Hood in the garrison, the two of them didn't react for a while, and they were a little stunned. Veneto wouldn't dare to look at the archer fish at all. It didn't matter to Hood, she just smiled, can't I recognize it? Well, if it were a cartoon, you could see the little light bulb on the side of their foreheads lighting up. They reacted and quickly shouted, Sister Hood. With a blessed mind, the big mackerel looked to the side and immediately saw Sugu sitting on the sofa waving to him. That was the admiral. Ordinary people may feel unfamiliar after not seeing each other for several years. But as a ship girl, I value my feelings more than anything else, and I will never forget them even if a long time has passed. Even if you have grown up, it does not mean you have matured. Compared with her younger sister's archer fish, the big mackerel was much more energetic. When she saw Sugu, she immediately pounced on it, no matter how many fish there were. Cannonballs, bombs, and torpedoes seemed to be quite suitable. Although it is not a 1,000-ton submarine, it is not easy for Sugu to catch the big mackerel. Then he felt pink hands wrapping around his neck, and couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. So he said that people's hearts are not as good as snakes swallowing elephants, and he was thinking about it again. Why is it a school uniform, not a national flag bikini? Why don't the archer fish pounce together? That's a little lowly traitor. Admiral, are you here? The big mackerel said, tilting his head. Sugu replied, here he comes. The big mackerel asked, we have been waiting for you for 2 days, and you only came now. I've been looking for you for several years, Sugu said to the big mackerel, then looked at the archerfish who was looking at it with a smile. Ruhi was sitting next to him reading a book, and was really shocked to hear Sugu say such disgusting words. I usually call myself a little lowly killer. As long as I am a little lowly, my success rate in fishing or gaining favor will increase by at least 30%. It doesn't seem like I am bragging. Think about it, as long as they are willing to speak out, I am afraid that none of Zeppelin, Hindenburg, and Kale Locks will be able to escape the clutches of the devil. Looking for us, without any unfamiliarity, the big mackerel grabbed Sugu's cheeks. Obviously we are looking for you, but the admiral has disappeared on his own. Sugu avoided the easy matter and said, "Okay, I'm back now." Where did it go? This is the question that the big mackerel has always asked. A very far away place, Sugu thought to himself, uninstalling the game and studying hard for the exam. To be honest, whether it succeeds or fails in the end, who knows whether I will be able to pick up the game again in a few months. Sometimes when you let go, you really let go completely. From this perspective, it's not wrong. Why are you back again? Of course the truth cannot be told, no one knows what will happen. Then tell me what everyone likes to hear, Sugu said, because I miss you. Lies. Liar, the big mackerel smiled. Wenwen, the archer fish, sat quietly next to Sugu. The big mackerel didn't sit on the other side. She found a small bench and sat in front of Sugu, holding Hood's Ginger in her arms. To be honest, the fat orange cat is quite popular. It would be better to say that among the many pets in the townhouse, except for the bald eagle Bell Macon of Dumpling Essex, all of them are quite popular and cannot be put down. Dafeng only looked at the original photo, and it has been kept by Big Mackerel. For almost 2 days, every night before going to bed, she would take it out and take a good look at it. Like spots on the wall, in short, it only relies on a photo to discuss with the archer fish. How is the admiral, what is happening to the garrison, and how many people have returned to the garrison? Originally I could only guess, but now I have a chance. The big mackerel asked, we saw Sister Gaga in the photo. Sister Lexington must have returned to the garrison. She is now the secretaryship. Is the garrison in the south or the north? South, Sugu replied. The big mackerel was dejected, and the archer fish said, let me just say, there are coconut trees, phoenix trees, and the sky is very blue, it must be in the south. You really know how to play, thinking like this, Sugu said, you are still little detectives. The big mackerel lay on Sugu's lap, grinning. The school of fish always attacks together, and everyone is friends through thick and thin. The big mackerel asked curiously, Admiral, have U-47, U-81, and U-505 returned to the garrison? I'm back, Sugu couldn't say it. They had been back to the guardhouse for a long time. You are the only one who is too late and has suffered a loss from Dafeng or Shinano. These two people are really unlucky. My results will be surpassed by them as an ace submarine in history. Big Blue Fish is very optimistic about the results. It's okay. They haven't achieved any results since they returned to the garrison. The big mackerel said, so inferior. It's not bad, because I haven't attacked. Sugu thought to himself, it was no longer a game, there was no protection from the big break, as long as he didn't commit suicide, he would not die anyway. Here, although submarines are a powerful weapon against deep-sea battleships and can defeat powerful enemies at minimal cost, they can easily sink after eating a deep-sea bomb. What's the point of not attacking, said the big mackerel. Sugu said, the governor's mansion has a great playground, with rocking tigers, swings, seesaws, and everything. If you are bored, you can go to the seabed near the governor's mansion to hunt for treasures. Every time they go out, they will pick up a lot of things. Although they are all scraps of metal. Me, and you, Sister Helena, Sister Lexington, etc., so many people tell stories every day. Really, what's the point of attacking? As long as you don't poison me again, Ziwa, he interrupted, holding his chin in one hand. The biscuits made in London still give you 47 a lingering fear. The big mackerel was lost in admiration, and after thinking for a moment he said, it would be better if I could still attack. Sugu had nothing to say. The two chattered and asked how the town hall was going. Finally, the big mackerel said, I really want to go back to the town hall. Sugu teased, does your sister Dafeng treat you badly? Not good, said the big mackerel, I have to go to school every day. Sugu said, even if you return to the town hall, you still have to go to school. The big mackerel begged, Can I not go to school? No, Sugu said decisively. Then I don't want to go back. The big mackerel smiled. Sugu only glanced at it and said, okay, I won't go back until I go back. If I don't go back, I will run away from home. The big mackerel thought of something and said, I received a love letter today. What grade are you in? Sugu thought to himself, which little bastard dares to take action against my cabbage? The archerfish gets more love letters than I do, said the big mackerel. Sugu looked at the archerfish and nodded happily. The big mackerel suddenly puffed up his face and gave him a slap. They are obviously sisters and eat the same food, but there is such a big difference. Damn it, that's not fair. Why did you hit me? Sugu said. The big mackerel replied, nothing. Consultant Sug, what should you do if you receive a love letter? The big mackerel said, of course I walked up to the podium and read it loudly. Well done, that's what it is, Sugu said, a public execution. I didn't read it aloud, said the big mackerel. I just told him that there were a lot of typos. Please check it before writing a love letter next time. Sugu said, have you read it word for word? I just looked at it casually. I don't know if there are any typos. Sugu touched the big mackerel's head and felt that this little loli was a little sinister, but the archerfish was the one who caused trouble. The big mackerel's grades are not good, and there are a lot of typos in his own compositions. Okay, you got good grades. The big mackerel was dissatisfied. The archerfish said, even if I have good grades, you should work harder. Suddenly the big mackerel didn't know what to say at all. She saw Daifeng standing next to him holding a few dates and stretched out his hand. As a foodie girl, Daifeng was very reluctant, but still gave the big mackerel a date. Stingy, the big mackerel didn't eat the dates at all. She just took the opportunity to vent her dissatisfaction to Daifeng. Admiral, did you know? The stupid monkey likes to secretly watch horror stories alone at night. I just stood behind her quietly, I patted her shoulder and she almost fainted from fright. By the way, I discovered that every time she was alone, she secretly read pornographic books. She kissed her and took off her clothes. What was her name? Down. Daifeng noticed that Ruhi was looking at her, and she immediately shouted, it's not a very erotic book, it's a classic, it just has a little description. Sugu could understand. He believed that Daifeng was not the kind of person Bazai was. Literary girls would only read that kind of obscure description. The big mackerel said, I noticed that she closed her eyes every time after reading it, as if she had eaten something delicious and had endless aftertaste. Is it so beautiful? Daifeng is about to cry, and the big mackerel is laughing evilly. Sugu suddenly remembered that he had heard someone discussing on the internet, how could the big mackerel be a cute young girl or Lolita? Historically speaking, it only took 3 years from the launch of the big mackerel to the time it was registered, and it sank 13 Japanese ships. Being quite greedy, he broke into the Japanese formation and fired 6 torpedoes at the Teiho, which directly caused the Teiho to leak aviation fuel and eventually exploded due to improper handling. Daifeng, that is a cutting-edge armored aircraft carrier. What is this? He slept with the eldest lady, even caused her to leak urine, and finally ran away. For such a fierce existence, the most fitting image should be that of an aggressive lady who likes to steal people and keeps saying run, run, little girl. Thinking about it again at this time, the modified portrait of the big mackerel is a bit sinister, and it still has a dark belly. If she grows up, maybe it will become like that. Seeing the big mackerel bullying Daifeng, as an unscrupulous admiral, Sugu is so funny that he is really a natural enemy. After a pause, Sugu couldn't help but look at the archerfish again. Admiral, why do you look at me like this? Archerfish asked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 756. Old users are not as good as dogs. In fact, they are the same everywhere, it's just that the two little Lolita, big mackerel, and archerfish, are already in the bag, so there is no need to be so anxious. When the big mackerel made an embarrassing scene for Dai Feng, Sugu asked the archerfish as if nothing had happened, "Tisk, tisk, archerfish, I heard your sister Dai Feng said you are very powerful." Putting his hands on his thighs, he doesn't look like a big mackerel that's not doing anything right. The archerfish behaves dignified and quiet. She blinked, really unsure of what the admiral wanted to say. Ruhi laughed and laughed, she knew what Sugu wanted to say. So Sugu glanced at her in advance and warned her not to talk nonsense. Even when outsiders are around, she will not argue, tease, or make trouble. She is an obedient and good ship girl who is very face-saving. However, when you are surrounded by your own people, there is no telling what you will do. So, sooner or later, you have to teach him a lesson. Sugu looked at the ceiling and said funnily, "Archerfish, I heard that you went out and caught a Shinano. Just like the U-boats and gunboats in the garrison, they like to go swimming when they have nothing to do. As a submarine, I really like the feeling of sea water surrounding my whole body." But unlike her sister, the big mackerel likes to hunt, and her eyes will turn red if she kills too many. If there is no deep-sea ship girl, she likes to do some little pranks, grabbing people's legs and so on. There was even an incident in the past where he was almost caught in a net by a whale ship. Archerfish prefer to observe and record underwater plants and animals, including various starfish, sea anemones, corals, and fish. His face was slightly red, and Archerfish was shy. "I saw a person passing by, and thought it was a deep-sea aircraft carrier, so I fired a torpedo. I didn't expect to admit my mistake. It's strange. I don't know why I admitted my mistake. This kind of thing has never happened before. There was no record of success until the end of the war, when the fateful encounter occurred and the Shinano was encountered. Then, with such a record, the total tonnage of enemy ships sunk increased linearly, and he also received a presidential commendation order. People are really different. Good luck is good. But then again, it's hard to say whether the person who sank Shinano was the archerfish or the Yukikaze that escorted Shinano." Sugu said, "It's a bad fate, you are in love and killing each other, that's why it's like this. At that time, I wanted to use torpedoes to finish the damage, and then do it again with 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fortunately, the big mackerel stopped me. At that time, he found the ship girl and was almost scared to death. She was a companion. The archerfish had lingering fears. I'm really afraid that this kind of thing will happen again in the future and I shot by mistake again. Don't be mentally burdened. There are so many Shinanos in the world. For example, Shinano seems to have never appeared. In short, there is no official record at all. It is a fluke to meet one. It was an unintentional mistake. Be careful next time." When Sugu said this, he was really a little ashamed. Even if it's not intentional, this is no small thing. For example, if you accidentally beat someone to death or accidentally hit someone while driving, you will still be sentenced. But as an admiral, it is the truth to appease the ship girl. Helping relatives but not helping with justice does not mean that it is unreasonable. Reason must be spoken, but wait a moment. I will be careful and will never make this mistake again. Archerfish twirled his fingers, but Shinano-san is such a good person, so she is not even angry with her. Sugu said, "Just because someone is not angry, you can just ignore them." So we helped her repair it. We heard that she had just woken up alone, so we took her home. Archerfish explained. That's it? It's pretty good, Sugu said. I heard from Dai Feng that Shinano is a bit stupid. A little bit. Archerfish wanted to defend himself, but he had to admit it. Having just felt good about bullying Dai Feng, Dabeo said, No matter what job you are doing, you will definitely be fired within a week, so now I can only work as a temporary worker. Sugu thought to himself that Shinano's inferiority to South Dakota was simply a matter of ability, and this girl's luck was probably a matter of luck. No matter how beautiful it is, probably no business would dare to use it, and employees who have weird and unfortunate incidents happen to them from time to time. He said, "You are going back to the town hall with us." She is a little dazed. Won't she be cheated outside? Could she be sold by someone and help count the money? She is a ship girl. You can tell who is a good person and who is a bad person at a glance, Archer Fish thought to himself. Because of this, it is difficult to make friends with ordinary people. Sugu knew a lot about how to deceive and coerce a ship girl because he had learned about it in the academy. After all, only if you know the method can you know how to solve the problem. After thinking about it, he gave many examples. Suddenly, as a good friend of Shinano, Archerfish showed a worried expression. If it's true what the Admiral said, human beings are so cunning, and a ship girl can only be safe if she stays in the garrison. She is a little lowly after all, she just needs to be scared. Shinano must join the garrison, and she must be persuaded carefully. The Archerfish hesitated for a moment. "Admiral, can I take Sister Shinano back to the townhouse? She is a good friend of mine. If I don't care about her, she will definitely be deceived. It will be very miserable." Secretly delighted, Sugu said, "Since the Archerfish has said it, how can I refuse?" Ziwihi was listening and thought to himself, "You obviously want it yourself. After all, Shinano has big breasts and a big butt, and he looks like a child-friendly and safe childbirth type at first glance. Especially since he is a bit naturally stupid, he is obviously very easy to deceive and is particularly fun to bully. Now he actually threatens the Archerfish, and then he is so righteous. He gained the Archerfish's favor, and then used the Archerfish to attack Shinano, killing two birds with one stone. How shameless. I don't have any objections, but..." Sugu naturally didn't know what Ruhi was thinking. He had already told what happened yesterday, maybe he was regarded as a bad guy. Ziwihi couldn't suppress her smile. She hugged a pillow and said, "Otherwise, Admiral, you can just ask the Archerfish to agree to Shinano." "No, how can my Archerfish betray its appearance?" Sugu thought for a moment. "Let's talk about it if it's really impossible." "It's not impossible." Ruhi looked at Sugu with disgust. The Archerfish said, "It's really a good fate, but the Admiral is really evil-minded. I asked why Shinano became so strange last night. It turned out to be the Admiral who was up to something." Sugu thought to himself that there were so many beautiful girls, and if he had more contact with them, he would probably be able to figure out Shinano's identity, but the contact time was too short. Especially the impression of bad luck is so profound that people forget everything else. Otherwise, if we had known about today, why bother in the beginning? Sister Shinano said she was very happy to meet a good person when she came back yesterday. You actually lied to me and said. Archerfish chuckled, "She cursed you all night, and said that next time she meets you, she must do it, teach you a lesson. She held Tianhe in her hands and whispered, 'I'm so stupid, I'm a fool, I'm a fool.'" The big mackerel interjected, "That's what she is." The Archerfish said, "It's just a small misunderstanding. Shinano-san won't be angry." I really wanted to hug the Archerfish, but finally held back. Sugu said, "I don't know when she will come back. It would be interesting to think about how Shinano would look when he saw everyone's expressions." The big mackerel said, "Sometimes she is early, sometimes late. She is obviously the cook, which makes us eat out every time." Sugu looked at the sky, and Shinano put it aside for the time being. He said, "Otherwise, Admiral, I will cook for you, no matter what you want to eat, I will." They were evenly matched opponents before, but now they are no match. Ziwihi said, "Seriously, Wouldn't Lexington be angry if you run to the kitchen all day long? I'm asking Yuxian for cooking tips, Sugu explained. Tell a lie 100 times and you will believe it. Without any guilt, that's true. Ruhi said, yes, that's right. I have never looked at other people's thighs. Not knowing what to say, Sugu said, the child is next to you. Ziwihi smiled and fell on the sofa. Sugu took 2 little girls to buy ingredients and was busy in the kitchen, and soon it was night. As soon as the dishes and chopsticks were placed on the dining table, the door opened. Shinano walked in with his shoulders slumped and weak. Needless to say, there was probably another problem at work. I'm back, Shinano said. You're back. Ruhi was in the living room, holding dishes. I'm sorry. Shinano was stunned for a moment, then backed out and closed the door. She was in a daze for a long time before she realized. She still remembered Ruhi and walked into the room again. Why are you here? This is my home. Ruhi said, it's my home now. Shinano felt aggrieved and didn't know what to do for a moment. He didn't even know that such a thing was happening, but... Ruhi said, 5 hang battles are here, call me Senior Ruhi, call me Sister Ruhi. Ah! Sister Ziwikaku, stop bullying Sister Shinano. The archer fish came over. Shinano finally felt a little relieved when he saw the archer fish, but he couldn't figure out what was going on. Then she saw Sugu again and blamed this guy for making her laugh. Still, she had no idea what to do. The big mackerel jumped on Sugu's back from behind, and the archer fish introduced, Sister Shinano, this is our admiral. Yes, Shinano was confused. The archer fish added, call me Admiral. Admiral Shinano called Sugu. Sugu responded, feeling that he had underestimated the archer fish. Why is Shinano like a pet? Are you really friends? The archer fish clapped his hands, it's fine now. Sugu thought to himself that no matter calling him Admiral or even husband, it was just a title, and it could only be recognized from the bottom of his heart. Otherwise, it is nothing but flowers in the well. Getting recognition is not that easy, it requires a lot of hard work. Even if Shinano has no opinion, he is not so casual when it comes to the Admiral. He thought about it again and realized that his original goal was not to gain recognition, but to trick people back into the garrison first, and then they would be unable to leave once they got used to life. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 757. After putting away the dishes and taking off his apron, Shinano dried his hands with a towel and walked out of the kitchen and stood in the living room, looking around. With a pillow on his chest, Daifeng slept on the tatami, reading a book, and eating mochi one bite at a time. Obviously I just had dinner, 3 bowls of rice and various vegetables. After getting to know each other again, Ziwihi stood by the window and looked at the city at night. In fact, there was not much night view. Hood was playing with her 2 cats, a fat orange cat, and a black cat that wasn't much better, waving its paws lazily. The man named Sugu was sitting on the sofa, and the big mackerel was standing in front, waving his hands and talking, looking very excited. The archerfish sat nearby, his eyes shining brightly. It was something I had never seen before in all the time I had known him. Because of such an accident, I joined such a family and lived together for a long time. I have known before that everyone has an admiral. It just hasn't appeared, so I don't feel it. However, starting from the day before yesterday, things became different. Back home, Daifeng was humming a song and reading a book, while Big Mackerel and Archerfish were lying on the sofa looking at a photo. Xiaozai, Dazai, Sister Jiajia, who took the photo? Archerfish, where do you think the town hall is? I asked out of curiosity. Admiral. Our Admiral, tisk tisk, he's very handsome. He's back, coming to pick us up, la 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 la. We are going back to the town hall. It was rare for the big mackerel not to ask himself if he was unlucky again outside, and then laugh at it. Archer Fish did not comfort himself. No matter what happens, we will help you. I saw two people chattering, with Daifeng occasionally interjecting a word. I only glanced at the photo. There was a man in the middle, and I suddenly felt a little scared. The sky is shattering, the big phoenix, the big mackerel, and the archer fish. Are you all leaving? What should I do if I am left alone? At that time, I was thinking that I might not be able to support myself even if I work. I can't make any money by working odd jobs every day. It takes me many days to save a little money to buy gifts for the big mackerel and archer fish. Even meatballs, fried shrimp tempura, croquettes, fried pork cutlets, and eel are all beyond my reach. Are you going to join the garrison yourself? Feeling a little scared. I heard that there is a kanji headquarters, and it seems that I can join there. In the past 2 days, I haven't had much energy, which has resulted in me not doing my job well, falling down, and hitting the wall. I don't know if my wallet was stolen or dropped somewhere. Shinano glanced at Sugu again. I thought to myself that he looks pretty good, quite tall and handsome, and he doesn't seem to have any ill intentions. But that's all, I don't feel anything anymore. But being your own admiral or something, well. By the way, we knew each other because we caught thieves, but we didn't recognize him at the time. I don't know why, but I feel a little friendly. He originally thought he was a good person, but he made himself embarrassed and made people angry. But forget it, it's just me being stupid, I can't even hear such a joke. But he and the archer fish are good friends, so he even gave him a green ribbon. Wanting to live together, coupled with a heartbeat, what is it if not love? Don't know what to do or what to say. Passing through the living room, Shinano walked to the balcony. After standing for a while, no one came over, so she took out her carrier-based aircraft Tianhe. Tianhe, what should I do? What do you want to do? Even the bald eagle Bell McCann, some people still doubt whether it is the famous dumpling Essex. It's just a carrier-based aircraft, even if it's golden equipment. Of course Tianhe couldn't speak, it was Shinano who was talking to himself. I don't know what to do, Shinano said, I don't want to be separated from everyone. For a moment, Shinano held Tianhe in his hands and didn't know what to say, his head was full of mud. Footsteps sounded, getting closer and closer. Shinano turned around and saw the culprit of everything, the man named Sugu walking over. Shinano is not a person who can hide his feelings very well. He has not spoken since eating and seems to be absent-minded. After thinking about it briefly, Sugu knew why. I'm just a little dull, not heartless, I guess I feel confused about the future, just like Kaio back then. So something had to be done, and he also came to the balcony. Shinano. Yes, Shinano responded, although he originally called him Admiral, but when he came to his senses, he couldn't say it out now. I thought about whether I should say some words of comfort, but when I came to the end, I couldn't say it at all. Crossing his arms, Sugu smiled, he, you actually said that to the archer fish. What's so funny? Shinano was a little angry, but she didn't speak. This is Tianhe, a very powerful torpedo aircraft. Sugu saw the carrier-based aircraft in Shinano's hands and decided to use this as a breakthrough. Of course Tianhe is very powerful. Shinano became disappointed, but I don't know how to use it. I have seen Daifeng operate a carrier-based aircraft, and I feel that there is a world of difference between me and me. I am so bad, I guess I will never be able to use it. Not comparable. Innocent and ignorant child, Sugu thought for a while and said, do you know how much practice Daifeng has? He has practiced hundreds of times and has done many attacks. If his practice level of 100 is compared to that of a newcomer like you, how can he do it? Before she could be crushed, I think she would have committed seppuku. Take your time and improve your training little by little, and one day you will surpass Dai Feng. Well, it is still difficult to surpass Dai Feng. You actually said that, Shinano muttered. She was a little dissatisfied. Sugu said softly, if you want to grow up, if you want Tianhe to fly freely in the sky, there is only one way: practice more. I have such a ship girl, she is York City. She was very poor when she just woke up. After so long, now I can fight with people back and forth. I tell you, Dai Feng is obviously right next to you, just ask her for advice. I asked, Shinano replied. She did ask for advice several times, and Dai Feng taught her well, but she was too embarrassed to keep troublesome. Sugu knew at a glance that Shinano was obviously not as shameless as York City. Even if people get impatient, they will laugh and ask for advice. Even if someone refuses, it will still be tough. Learn to say nice things. Saratoga and the Raiders are very fond of this. Especially now, if she is not allowed to practice, she will act like a spoiled child, a bit mean, and I miss the girl who never gave in and bravely threw her whip kick. Sugu said, come to the guardhouse and I can ask someone to teach you. Yashinano responded, non-committal. I have a wedding ship, the first flight battle Akage. She used to serve as an instructor in the academy, Sugu said. Wearing a Kyoto uniform, she sailed on the sea. The sea breeze blew her long black hair up, and the hem of her skirt also changed. Sound. She raised her bow and fired arrows, like a Valkyrie. Whoosh, the arrows broke through the sky, turned into carrier-based aircraft, and then swooped down. Shinano thought about it. Tianhe soared in the sky, and dropped across the water. Torpedo, destroy the deep-sea ship girl. Although it only existed in drawings in history, now it can show itself and tell everyone how powerful it is. Although she has not made any moves and is engaged in an ordinary job, Shinano is not without dreams. Her eyes are full of longing. In a daze, she saw Akage, a senior in the First Air War, standing in front of her and reaching out towards her, gesturing for her to stand next to her and teach her step by step. Of course she didn't know that what Akage did every day was to eat, otherwise play vixen at night. In a daze, she saw herself standing on the sea, with the Milky Way soaring in the sky, like an eagle or a petrel. Everyone looked at it with envious expressions. Of course she didn't know the tragic experience of Bumblebee. The carrier-based aircraft that originally belonged to her was taken away because of its power. Now, as long as the Admiral comes back, his favorable impression of the Admiral will grow steadily every day. In fact, it was too much before. A little better makes people feel happy. Sugu said, does Shinano know about Yamato? The deep-sea flagship Yamato, Shinano said, not sister. Although our garrison defeated her twice, it's not over yet. Sugu opened his hands and said, has Shinano thought about it? Manipulate the Tianhe to sink her. A beam of sunlight dispelled the haze in the sky and shone on the dark sea. On the sea breeze blew away the thick smoke. When the smoke cleared, there was a person kneeling on the sea. You walked over and stretched out your hand towards her. Then softly said, Sister Yamato, welcome back. Defeat some deep-sea ship girl, dispel the hatred, anger, and all other negative emotions that were bound to them, and then fish out some ship girl. Although there is no direct evidence, every admiral believes it. Shinano lowered his head, his eyes shining brightly. Akage, Kaga, Shokaku, Ziwikaku, they are all your seniors, right? Hika and Hayabusa, don't look at them as light aircraft carriers, they are very powerful. Takao, Atago, Maya, Shokai, Megami, Mikuma, Suzuya, Kumino. There are also Tianlong and Ryada, and Akatsuki Raiden, and many more. They are your partners, they are your sisters. Swafeng thought of it, but Sugu deliberately did not say it, just waiting. Shinano returned to the town guardhouse and introduced it specifically. Shinano looked into the distance, biting his lip, wondering what he was thinking about. Sugu leaned on the railing. Kaga likes to drink. Xianghe is a road addict. She can get lost even in the guardhouse, but she is very strong. Ziwahi, you know it, she has a sharp mouth and a heart, not counting the sharp mouth. Cao Sheng opened a noodle shop in the governor's mansion, and her cooking skills are very good. The late night snacks are also very good, waiting for you to try. When thunder and lightning sound at dawn, they like to sit on the top step of the long steps from the town hall to the pier. Watch the ships passing by in the distance and listen to the beeping of the whistle. They like to make sunny day dolls, and they like to fold thousands of paper crane, they like to play around a big lush magnolia tree. There were many flowers and plants planted on the balcony. It was spring and the flowers were blooming. Consultant Su asked, who planted them? Me Shinano replied. Tapping the petals with his finger, Sugu said, our garrison is not only Japanese, but also has many people. Hood is the one in there. She quarrels with Bismarck every day. The same goes for Washington and South Dakota. They look at each other every day. Why? It's because of history. To be honest, among so many people, it's hard to imagine that you and Archer Fish would be good friends. What a wonderful friendship. After talking a lot, Sugu returned to the living room and found Ruhi looking at him, so he snapped his fingers. Shinano held Tianhe in his hands and began to talk to himself again. I thought to myself, the admiral seemed pretty good, and it seemed possible to join the garrison. The future would not be so confusing. Unbeknownst to Shinano, she quickly regretted her thoughts at the moment. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 758. Many ship girls are picky and have a very clear understanding. If you don't look for it, you must find an admiral who is 100% satisfied. Of course, maybe just because you haven't met that person, it doesn't necessarily mean you are picking. There are also many kanji girls, and Shinano is one of them. For them, an admiral or something is almost enough. Just passing the test is enough, high scores are not necessarily required. It's really like knowing a girl. Some people are just lucky and get it early. The admiral's ability to fish the boat is second to none. No matter how eloquent you are, if you don't have the luck to meet a wandering ship girl, everything will be empty talk. Although you can go to the ship girl headquarters to try your hand, most of the ship girls there don't have admirals. However, it is not easy to deal with the big waves and stay in the ship girl headquarters for a long time without being snatched away. Sugu can express his opinion on this point. The company is really difficult to handle. I have good friends Missouri, and my older sisters Yorktown and Hornet, but there really isn't much progress at the moment. If it were an ordinary ship girl, she would have accepted it long ago. But then again, as the eldest sister of a large ship girl branch, I have never seen any big storms. Anyway, after returning to the living room from the balcony, Shinano regained his energy a little. She was no longer confused or absent-minded, and now she sat on the sofa and listened quietly to everyone talking. The unicorn wants to build a garden, what's going on? Sugu said. Ruhi snorted, she also wants to build a secret garden, but there are no secrets in the town hall. The garrison is not big, but there are a lot of people, and all the girls are gossiping. It's really like this. Ruhi leaned on the sofa and said, Plan M has never come to the guardhouse. Admiral, don't you think of a way? Do you want the gendarmerie to see her? Sugu thought of the gendarmerie captain who was trying to catch up. Ruhi clapped his hands, good idea. Please forgive me for refusing. I miss the town hall a little bit. I really want to watch pole dancing. Ruhi held his cheeks in his hands. Why have I never seen anyone jump? Sugu was surprised. There is such a thing? Coffee shop Ziwa, he said, someone jumped while you were away. Sugu said, I am the admiral, shouldn't everyone only dance when I am here? Hey! Who are you? Ruhi licked his lips and said, I kind of want to eat hot pot. I don't understand. What Kaohsiung operates is obviously a noodle shop. Hot pot and oden are the most popular. I don't want to run a noodle shop at all, Ruhi said. It's not you who say things like a family must be neat and tidy every day and I'll feed you if you're hungry. They didn't beat you to death. It's really good. Time passed little by little, and the big mackerel and archer fish, as little Lolita, went to take a bath and prepare for bed. Hood, Daifeng, and Shinano are not people who like to talk. Most of the time, Ziwikaku and Sugu are talking. Finding that everyone was silent and thinking that he had to do something, Ziwikaku suddenly said, "Is Shinano playing cards? I still have a little bit of self-awareness about my luck. I have never won the lottery. It is very rare to win rock, paper, scissors, so of course Shinano refused. She likes to press the head of the unconscious little girl Long Xiang and shout, 'Where is the stove from?' Ruhi is not an honest person in nature." She said, "Actually, my luck is also very bad." Sugu saw Ruhi smiling at him, and he quickly helped. "Without going to school, I have no chance to understand what each ship girl is like, so I can experience the disadvantages of being ignorant and unskilled. And it's really a bit dull. If you are smart enough, you only need to look to the side." The expressions of Hood and Daifeng explain everything very well. Not finding anything, Shinano asked, "Really?" "Really," Ruhi said, "I am your senior in the 5 air battles. Will I still lie to you? When I return to the tutelage, I will teach you how to fly carrier-based aircraft. I am very powerful. Otherwise, you ask Daifeng, can she beat me?" Daifeng didn't wink. "It's better to say that this point is very important." She said, "I think there will be no problem if I beat you." "Really?" Ruhi narrowed his eyes dangerously. "To be honest, the training level is pretty good. Although Daifeng has been transformed, he cannot be crushed. Ruhi is lucky enough, and his ship's equipment is not bad, so it's hard to say who will win. After all, Daifeng's character is more weak. A hero doesn't suffer the immediate disadvantages, so there is no need to compete for who is more powerful." She quickly gave in under Ruhi's sharp eyes and turned her head away. Ziwikaku asked Shinano again, "How is it?" Not wanting to be too disappointed, Shinano nodded. "It's impossible without a little bet," Ziwikaku said. "Shinano, I heard Teiho say that your carrier-based aircraft is very powerful. Tianhe, otherwise let's use this as a bet. You have Tianhe, and I have Haifang. Daifeng also has sea fangs, and Hood has ginger and fish cakes. Well, Mr. Su, he can give you whatever you want." Sugu heard this and thought to himself, "Ruhi, with your luck, you are really bullying others." But Ziwi wouldn't really take other people's things, he was just joking, and he still knew this. Shinano didn't know this and believed it to be true. She hesitated, but Tianhe. Ruhi retreated and asked for the next best thing. "If you don't want to, don't ask for Tianhe. You still have Gale and Meteor, so just these two." Shinano still hesitated. 1 month's right to use Tianhe, that's okay. In fact, this is Ruhi's real purpose. What do you know? Without waiting for Shinano's consent, Ziwi made her own decision. She thought for a while. "Let's draw the ghost card. I guess you also know this." Daifeng and Huda were actually very reluctant. After hearing this, they thought about the rules. A small king is removed from a deck of cards, then everyone is assigned a card, and then draws cards in turn. The drawn cards are combined with your original cards. Any cards that form a pair can be thrown into the card pile. Whoever keeps the king in his hand in the end loses, and there is only one loser. Especially when he noticed that Ziwi was blinking, he must be famous. Among them, Daifeng remained silent, while Huda adjusted his glasses. Her lenses reflected light, and she was about to show off her power. "Find playing cards and start preparing." With only 2 cards left, Shinano took the king away from Teiho's hand, and Ziwakaku said, "You have really bad luck." Shinano was convinced. Ziwahi won first several times, and Shinano looked at her, "Didn't you say that you have bad luck? Why do you win first every time?" "Yes, it's very bad. It can't compare with the Enterprise, it can't compare with Suk Bader, it can't compare with Lafite," Ruhi explained seriously. Several times in a row, everyone drew another card from their hands. Shinano was keenly aware of the problem. "Obviously Daifeng's luck is also very bad, I thought of it." "It's you, Ziwakaku. The one who draws the card at the end every time. If you stand behind me, you must be up to something. If we play again, no one can stand behind me." After another round of playing, Shinano still lost, and she said in frustration, "I can't do it anymore." Finally Daifeng couldn't help laughing, "Judging from your expression, I know which card is the ghost card." Shinano was silent for a long time, then continued playing. At the end this time, she put the cards on the ground. "If you don't know which card is the ghost card, your expression won't reveal anything." However, even so, she still lost, several times. "I don't believe it, it can't be me every time." "Shinano, please pay attention. The ghost card has a folded corner, which is not very obvious who had revealed the secret." Finally, Shinano was unhappy. "How can I play like that? You are all bullying me." Ruhi waved his hand, "I am willing to admit defeat. As long as I am not discovered on the spot, I am not a fool." Shinano was so wrong that he almost shed tears, but Sugu finally reconciled. "Okay, Shinano, I don't want your tianhe. We won't play this kind of game that tests luck. Now let's play something that tests our skills, such as fighting." "Landlord. If you lose, you have to leave and make substitutions. 5 people are just right." "Well, you still have to drink, and you can't use the power of the ship suit. Anyway, at home, you will get drunk when you are drunk." Kanji can get drunk, and Kaga is a typical example. "From time to time I would get drunk, and then sit under the tree with a red face, chattering. Sometimes she gets drunk and does boxing matches with her, and she also reads poems and says some very silly things." Daifeng said, "There are only 2 bottles of wine at home, and they have been there for a long time, almost a year." "It doesn't matter, just take it out," Sugu said. Hood said, "Remember that the Admiral doesn't like drinking bars." "Yes," Sugu said, "so this is punishment for everyone. Speaking of which, why do I often see you drinking with the Prince of Wales?" Sugu admitted honestly, "I really don't like drinking, but the Prince of Wales is so beautiful, how can I refuse?" Ruhi was teasing, "Admiral, you are so active in asking people to drink. What are your evil intentions? Do you want to take advantage of everyone's drunkenness? Or else, pretend to be drunk and use your status as an admiral to do something? Move your feet." "Won't." Daifeng said, "Have sex after drinking." "Have sex after drinking," Sugu showed off, "I'll teach you a lesson. If a man is really drunk, he can't do anything. Otherwise, it's just a man's intention, but he is actually sober. But drinking, it's true that people are brave. After drinking a little wine, you don't know anything anymore. You actually understand so well." "Have you done this before?" Ruhi said. "Did she push Kent down like this?" "She wouldn't resist at all." "How could it be?" Sugu said, "I am an honest person." Ruhi patted Sugu on the shoulder, "You are not that bold, you are the mascot of the governor's mansion." "What mascot?" Sugu said, "Don't belittle me in front of Shinano. I'm very capable. Me, Lexington, Reputation, and Washington, a few people can manage the garrison in order. There are no flaws." Shinano didn't hear anything interesting, and Ziwakaku immediately disliked it. After listening for so long, Shinano suddenly said, What about fighting landlords? I don't know how. Sugu said, it's very simple, just play 2 games and you'll be good to it. We'll teach you how to play first, without punishment, and wait until you feel you can do it. Teach Shinano how to play little by little. Landlord itself is not that difficult and you can learn it easily. In fact, it is easy to learn but difficult to master. People who are good at it can memorize cards. In addition, luck is also a very important victory factor. All in all, it's officially begun. Shinano, you lose. You are a landlord, 2 cups. Dai-Feng, Hood, you too. Be braver, but you're bored now. Admiral, it's your turn, hey hey hey. No matter how lucky you are, Ziwihi, you still make mistakes sometimes. How dare you laugh at me, Dai-Feng? How much have you drunk? Shinano realized the problem. You guys drink, am I the only one who drinks honestly? There were only 2 bottles of wine, and I didn't pay attention to using small glasses. After all, it wasn't hard liquor. Seeing that it was almost over, Ruhi said, the wine is almost gone, let me think about it, jealous, maybe there is some at home. There is a bottle of vinegar. Shinano is the cooking ant. Ruhi suddenly laughed, the one who is most jealous is Saratoga. He also made some list of vixens. This time there are 3 more people. How could there be 3 people? Sugu was surprised. Dai-Feng, Shinano, and Archerfish. Sugu yelled, don't worry about Dai-Feng and Shinano, but the Archerfish is nothing. My character is still very good. I don't think so, Ruhi said, Fletcher and Changchun. Go 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 go. Don't make any noise. Dai-Feng drank a little wine and was slightly tipsy. There should be a convenience store open. Admiral, Ruhi. You 2 go buy wine, bread, snacks, and peanuts. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 759. After getting the procurement task, Ruhi and Sugu left. The game had just ended, Hood and Shinano lost, and Dai-Feng was very proud. She quickly picked up the wine bottle that she had dug out from a corner of the kitchen and wanted to fill it up for the 2 people across from her, but it was only half full and gone. Seeing such an accident, she quickly mixed half of Shinano's wine. Therefore, Huda is just a general among the poor, and his level is not enough. If it were Missouri, she could pour all the wine in her own glass into Shinano's glass. I shook the bottle and picked it up upside down, but still not a drop of wine came out. She was really reluctant. It was so rare to win such a big deal. Dai-Feng was not ready to let the 2 of them go. She said, I have no choice but to bring my jealousy. It's not good, Hood said loudly. Thinking about it, it did have some bad effects, so Dai-Feng didn't insist, so she changed her plan. Where's the soy sauce? Hood complained, this is even more extreme. Shinano nodded desperately. In fact, Dai-Feng knew it was impossible, and her interest suddenly waned. Forget it if you don't have it, Hood said. Well, didn't the Admiral go buy some wine? Yeah. Then just write it down for now, and you can drink it when they buy it back. Dai-Feng became excited, and Hood regretted it a little. He blamed himself for talking too much, which made her unhappy. Feeling a little dry, Hood went to pour a cup of tea. Dai-Feng sat cross-legged on the cushion and shuffled cards. She glanced at the grandfather clock. The Admiral and Ruhi have been out for a while and haven't come back yet. It's hard to wait. I want to eat snacks. Mochi, sorbet, yokon, and egg yolk pie are all good. Still thinking about where the Admiral and Ruhi had gone, she suddenly reacted, patted her head and said regretfully, I forgot. Hood held the cup, forgot something. Admiral and Ziwi went to the convenience store and forgot to ask them to buy towels and toothbrushes. Daifeng fell on the tatami. Hood said he was helpless, and Daifeng waved his hand. Forget it, let's buy it tomorrow morning. As for towels, you can use ours first. Toothbrushes, wait, otherwise it doesn't matter if you don't brush your teeth for a day. Daifeng washed the cards, and Shinano walked around the living room and came back. She said, the big mackerel and the archer fish are sleeping. Little Loli goes to bed earlier, just out of habit. In fact, Shinano usually goes to bed early because he still needs to prepare breakfast and lunch for everyone the next day. Daifeng, on the other hand, always reads until late at night before taking a rest every night. I especially like to read horror stories, and then listen to the sound of the wind blowing on the windows, the sound of the wind blowing on the tree crowns, and finally shrinking into a ball in fear. A deck of playing cards, take away 3 cards, turn over another card and put it into the deck at will. Because of the mistake just now, Daifeng began to think about what everyone needed to stay at home. She was dealing cards at this time and said, Shinano, I will sleep with you tonight, and Ziwikaku will be with me. Oh, Shinano responded subconsciously. She was a little confused and didn't react until later. It is not a single-family house, but a small 2-story house can have many rooms. It's just an apartment, with 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. Even if you don't understand it very well, you still understand some of the principles. To Shinano, the Admiral was a stranger before, but he is still not very familiar with him now. After Daifeng dealt out all the cards, she said, Hood, you and the Admiral will sleep in my room. They had slept together before, and Hood was not shy. Shinano picked up the cards that Taeho had dealt and placed in front of him. She only glanced at it and found that there were many flower cards and even a king. Compared to when the opponent was Ziwi, it couldn't be better. Happy. Without thinking too much, she asked, Hood, why did she sleep with the Admiral? When talking about the Admiral, Shinano felt a little uncomfortable, but he didn't know what to do. After all, no matter if you call me Sugu or Admiral Su, it feels too stiff. Is there something wrong with Hood? Daifeng thought for a while, as if she didn't introduce him so much. She said, of course it's Hood, she is the Admiral's wedding ship. Ah. Hood. I thought Ziwikaku was a wedding ship. Shinano thought to himself, those 2 people seemed to be very close, especially during the landlord fight, the 2 of them had a tacit understanding. In comparison, Hood is still a little worse. Don't I look like me? He said in a dignified and elegant manner. Hood suddenly lost all strength. At the same time, Shinano reacted and quickly said, I'm sorry. After drinking, Daifeng was bolder than usual. She curiously asked Hood, are you and the Admiral having sex? The night sky was filled with stars, and except for the street lights that were on, there was no one on the street. After walking for a while, I passed an intersection and found the convenience store on a side road that Daifeng mentioned was still open even late at night. Peanuts, broad beans, kelp, canned beer, and the snacks specially named by Daifeng, all kinds of snacks, and drinks, enough for 2 big bags. Don't worry about too much, just worry about too little and spoil the fun. Lucky one, and unfortunate girl, these 3 are really just right, Sugu said after leaving the convenience store and walking on the road. There was a fire hydrant next to it. I thought to myself that several people were equally lucky, and none of them were very shrewd, and there was not much difference in their playing skills. To a certain extent, they were deliberately trying to compete with each other. As a lucky ship, Ruhi has always been very proud. She said, a bunch of unlucky people. When we get back, we will kill them all and get them drunk one by one. Sugu raised the bag in his hand. Bullying is the most interesting thing. Realizing that Sugu was looking at him, Ruhi deliberately turned sideways with a suspicious face. Do you dare to say that you really haven't thought about it? What did you do when you got everyone drunk? What do I want to do? Do I need to get him drunk? I can just do it directly. Who will refuse? Who dares to resist? Sugu thought to himself. Most of the people in the garrison were already very fond of him. Ruhi said, Zeppelin. Except Zeppelin. Missouri, Ziwahi shook his head. Anyone with a discerning eye in the garrison could see what this girl was like, Hindenburg. If the silly eldest sister Hindenburg tried to do anything, she might lose her hands and feet. Sugu said, get rid of Zeppelin, get rid of Hindenburg. Ziwahi thought about it, and there was no data to know how much someone liked the admiral. He could only rely on his usual observations, MRSCV-16, Lexington has already spoiled her. That guy KO, he touched her, I probably won't dare to resist, and the most I can do is cry and tell Andrea. Then Nevada, Oklahoma, Tennessee, California. Sugu avoided taking the easy way and said, California's ABS are so awesome. If you're scared, don't do drag racing. If you put your arm around someone's waist, isn't that really a waste of money? Ruhi laughed sarcastically. Sugu became fierce, how about touching you? Okay, Ruhi raised his hand, what will happen if a bucket of water is poured over your head? Sugu nodded thoughtfully, and of course he acted like this on purpose. Think about it, if it's just a bucket of water, it's not a loss at all. Kikuziwahi raised his foot, and the beautiful martial artist appeared. Are you still playing drunken boxing? Of course Sugu knew very well that Ruhi didn't dare anymore, so he said, Ruhi, how much did you drink? 2 cups, please. Ruhi reached out and swept the shrubs in the green belt around him. Even though she has always had good luck, she doesn't always win. Even Suk Bader, who has the best luck in the garrison, usually participates in lottery activities in Chuangziu. It is true that I often win prizes, but I have never won the special prize or first prize. Did you cheat, Consultant Suk? What he meant was whether he had the power to use the ship's equipment. Ruhi raised his chin, am I that kind of person? You really are that kind of person. A fist as big as a sandbag. Ruhi raised his hand this time and bullied Sugu into carrying something. Seriously? Sugu asked curiously, how many glasses of wine can you drink at most? You can't get drunk no matter how many drinks you drink. Ruhi thought for a moment, I don't know, I don't like drinking, so I've never gotten drunk. I can drink several bottles of beer without any problems. I haven't gotten drunk yet, Sugu said, but I can't drink liquor, especially mixed drinks. It's beer and liquor. My impression is that I can drink several bottles of beer. The worst time was when my classmate came to my house to play. He drank beer first, and then 2 glasses of home-brewed sweet potato wine. He was still bored after 1 sip, and finally got drunk. By the way, there was also the time we went to Nevada. She had to drink before she would forgive me. Ziwahi asked, what does it feel like to be drunk? I don't know how other people are, it was a long time ago. Sugu thought about it and organized the words in his mind. Anyway, I drank too much and my arms felt numb. It was very strange. Then I lay in bed and couldn't sleep at all. I know who came to see me, sober. I was thinking about things, but I couldn't remember what I was thinking about. I was in a daze, it's hard for me to describe what I felt. What kind of wine is that Daifeng brought? It's not beer anyway. Ruhi laughed, how much did you drink? You won't be drunk. Of course I'm not drunk, that's all. Ruhi said funnily, those who say they are not drunk must be drunk. Those who say they are drunk must not be drunk. They are trying to escape. If you are imprisoned in a mental hospital, how can you prove that you are not sick? The answer is that there is no way to prove it. Sugu said, has a person ever been drunk? He smelled of alcohol, let alone rolling around. He was fast asleep. This kind of wine is considered good. In short, it is easy to detect when you are drunk. Generally, if you are just slightly drunk, you usually speak softly and softly, but suddenly you become louder. I have to hold your neck. Call me brother, I talk too much, and I must be drunk. I remember when I was in junior high school, I was a shy boy who only dared to talk to girls after drinking. Ziwihi laughed. Now he has become a big pervert, with so many wedding ships. You deserve a beating. Sugu took a can of coke from his bag and handed it to Ruhi. He took a can, opened it, and drank. There are so many weddings, I'm also in a dilemma. Ruhi stepped on Sugu's shadow. Don't be a good boy just to get an advantage. Just to not let everyone down. It's better said than sung. Ruhi drank the coke in one breath, flattened the can, took a deep breath and threw it away, and suddenly said, "We can't leave anymore." Sugu paused and replied, "I told you, I won't do it anymore. If you want to leave, take everyone with you." Sugu stopped and looked at Ruhi. The girl didn't know why, and reached out to fiddle with the bangs on her forehead, but it was still a little messy. "What are you looking at?" Ruhi's face was slightly red, his eyes were bright and charming. "Looking for the lost ship girl." Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 760. A car passed by on the street, and the bright light stretched the shadows of the two people extremely long. "What are you looking at?" Ruhi raised his chin. "Girl, you are a little drunk." With this in mind, Sugu shook his coke. He wanted to ask if he was a qualified admiral, but he hesitated to speak. Ship girls are also elves and heroic spirits. Steel gives strength, and people's expectations give all good qualities, including beauty, kindness, loyalty, and many more. Compared with what they gave to themselves, what they gave themselves was too small, and everything they said was empty talk. Because Ruhi's words were a bit touching, he didn't say anything after all. Sugu just turned around and said, "Don't look, there's nothing good to see. I want breasts but not breasts, and I want butt but not butt. I have no breasts and no butt. I really disappoint you." "I'm sorry." Ruhi smiled without any sincerity. "You think you can just pretend not to care. You say you don't want it, but you really want it in your heart." Sugu rubbed his forehead. He was obviously not drunk, but he felt that he said a little too much. Or is it that alcohol has already affected people unconsciously, but now that I have thought about this, it must not have any impact, and I am very sober. No matter what you say, I just want to say it. Ruhi pretended to be envious. "Yes, I think so. It would be great if she had breasts like Helena's." Helena's breasts are drop-shaped, and she still prefers the Prince of Wales. No matter who is superior or inferior, everyone has their own advantages. After saying that, Sugu felt that he was a little stupid, discussing other girls' figures with a girl, and the influence it's not good. Ruhi clasped his hands behind his back, bent down, turned to look at Sugu, and smiled like a little devil. "Okay, I won't tell Helena. After all, I'm not familiar with her, so you don't have to be so cautious. Originally, it's on Par, and Colorado is the same." Sugu thought to himself that everyone was in the same level, as if Des Moines was too big after seeing it before. Ruhi raised his waist and doubted, "I used to harass Helena all day long, poking and prodding, and in the end I was irresponsible. Colorado was the first battleship you built, and in the end there was nothing. You had to take the initiative to get the ring. But she is really awesome. The Prince of Wales just wore a swimsuit. Come on, he has a ring. What do you want me to think?" Sugu explained, "I gave the Prince of Wales a ring just because she is strong. The swimsuit is just an opportunity." "It's so embarrassing for you to say that," Ruhi said, "because she is very powerful and because she is beautiful, I gave her the ring. Don't you feel ashamed?" Consultant Su, then why is it so shameless? Ziwihi thought for a while and looked at Sugu. Akagi has taught him how to laugh quickly in a language environment. Sugu smiled and said, Isn't it more accurate to say servant is good? You actually understand. Ruhi was surprised. Sugu showed a proud smile. Daifeng's apartment with the lights still on can be seen in front of him. Ruhi is looking at the bright starry sky. Sugu said, Ruhi, I finally discovered that you must prefer your childhood sweethearts to Tiansheng. I don't like childhood sweethearts. It's so rare to attack once, and there is no work to deal with, such as managing the warehouse and managing the garrison. I have nothing to do all day long. I have read a lot of novels and comics. Ziwi said, I just hate it more when a woman with big breasts and a big butt falls from the sky, and then the protagonist likes her. You are really worried about having big breasts and a big butt? Sugu smiled unbridled. With big breasts and a big butt, aren't you worthy of being liked? You really don't hide your desires. You are an animal that only has its lower body in heat. Ziwi was not polite. She thought about it and said, no wonder you tried every means to bring Shinano back to the tutelage. It turned out to be for this purpose. Sugu wanted to defend, but finally sighed, I admit, there is this reason. Ruhi took 2 steps, squatted down and covered his face, pretending to cry, we really found a bastard admiral. Man, a shameful man, I admit that I am. Sugu said. I feel worthless for everyone. Ruhi said, if you weren't beautiful and cute, Lexington is so gentle and capable, like a sister, like a mother, maybe. If it was Bazai, she eats and works hard all day, but she is still a homebody. If she becomes a bucket body and weighs more than 200, you will never give her a ring. To be honest, Bazai is not so pretty and cute, and his character is too bad. I don't want it. Sugu told the truth. Kicking away the pebbles on the side of the road, Ruhi said, please, can't you say something touching that means you will never leave me? Sugu asked back, if I weren't the admiral, everyone wouldn't like me. If you weren't the admiral, everyone wouldn't like you. Ziwi pinched his chin. You actually said that, I will be very sad, okay. I have all this because I became an admiral. Ruhi said, didn't he recognize you as admiral first and then fall in love with you? Sugu thought for a while, if we are not married and Bazai is like what you just said, I really won't get married. Bazai is already a wedding ship. If she starts to gain weight and turns into a dead pig, I will. If I supervise her to lose weight, I will still like her. I don't really know this yet, it's open to discussion. Anyway, I won't abandon her, she is still my wedding ship. Finally, you still have some conscience, but that's all. Ruhi said. It's not enough. Consultant Su, how can you be considered very conscientious? Isn't it supposed to be like this? Ruhi whispered, playing the role of Sugu. Bazai, no matter how fat or ugly you become, I will always like you. You can do whatever you want and eat whatever you want. Don't suppress yourself, do what you like. It's not good to be too much. Ruhi said, no matter how bad you become, everyone will like you, but you just dislike Bazai for being fat. If I become fat and lazy, you can also ask me to exercise and run. Sugu said. Ziwi said, to be honest, even now, you are not very handsome, very strong, or very capable. You are really not worthy of everyone. I feel heartbroken all of a sudden. Sugu said, I feel a little guilty, not as good as everyone else, but I will try my best. No matter how hard you try, Ruhi said, there are more than 100 people in the town hall, how can you deserve it? Sugu said, hey, Ruhi, I'm really not afraid that I'll get so angry that I yell, yes, I'm not worthy of you, why don't you go find someone who is worthy and then walk away? I admire your mentality. You're not ashamed to death. I struggled with it before. Sugu said, but think about it, if you have a handsome parent, it's just because of your good genes. Becoming a CEO at a young age is just because your family is powerful and rich, and you have been well received since childhood. Education. Newton and Einstein completed the most important scientific achievements in their 20s. I don't believe that they relied on hard work and not genius. I am almost the same, I am lucky. If you don't take it, you will suffer. It's your fault, if you fail to do so at the right time, you will suffer the consequences. I have never seen anyone so shameless. Sugu sighed, I'm really leaving. Ruhi held onto the wall and smiled dangerously, you can leave, as long as you don't get caught by everyone. It seems like I'm not very lucky. Sugu's expression turned ugly, it's so difficult. Ruhi said, we have settled the matter, but you still dislike it? Look at what you have done in the past. You like the new and hate the old. Clothes are not as good as new, and people are not as good as new. Only new people laugh, who can hear the old people cry. Lead everyone, just go back to the governor's house and forget about it wherever you throw it. Even if it's a small house, you'll forget about her when a new person comes. I always remember Xiaozai, okay. I won't talk about stealing equipment, Bumblebee and Kirov. I won't talk about harassing people, Helena and Archerfish. Arrange the expedition to show how much you value people. Arrange everyone on the secretary ship and meet every day. Finally. I feel good, you are irresponsible, and no one blames you. Ruhi said, you still find it difficult, I say you are so brave. A married man who flirts with girls is a scum, and he is not prepared to be responsible. Do you like it? Sugu was speechless. There are so many people in the town hall. Ruhi asked enthusiastically, seriously, who do you like the most? Don't tell me, you will always like the next one. Thinking to himself, I don't have the guts to say it, Sugu said without hesitation, Xiaozai. Don't use the small house to block the gun. Sugu was dissatisfied. I won't say. Sugu thought for a while and said, everyone has their own attractions. It's hard to say who I like the most. I can't bear to leave any of them. Ruhi thought for a while and decided to change her approach, long hair or short hair looks better. As long as you look beautiful, it doesn't matter what hairstyle you have. Sugu said, well, I still like short hair best. Bizai has medium to long hair, so Colorado, Xiaozai and Bismarck. Ruhi brushed his short hair, twirling a few strands of hair with his thumb and index finger, oval face or oval face. What do you mean, the round face offends you? Sugu laughed, I used to like oval faces, but now I think they are too pointed. Oval faces are more beautiful. Taller or shorter? It's better to be taller and shorter. Don't be too tall, don't be too short. Be leaner, or be meatier. Sugu said seriously, of course I wear clothes to look slimmer and take off clothes to show my flesh. To be honest, Bazai, Blucher. I didn't expect you to still have thoughts about Blucher. Sugu said coldly, if I kill someone by mistake, I won't let him go. Chest. Sugu glanced at Ruhi, and he laughed, you think I will say that it is enough if it is suitable, it is better to be a little bigger, a little bigger. Ziwi gritted his teeth. Feeling a little hot on his face, Sugu was in high spirits and walked in front. I used to think that my butt was too big and ugly, and I really didn't understand anything. Think about it, it's really ugly if it's too big. Of course it has to be round, big and upturned. And also have long legs. The skin should be fair. In fact, wheat color is also very good, and sun marks are also very good. After talking a lot, we walked downstairs. There was a street light next to him, so Sugu stopped and looked back at Ruhi. Ruhi was shorter and looked up at him. The two people didn't speak and looked at each other for a long time. His head was empty and he didn't think about anything. He felt that he should do this, so Sugu slowly lowered his head. Ruhi's eyelashes trembled. He felt something and closed his eyes. Why haven't they come back yet? Dayfen was complaining that she wanted to eat and was hungry. Besides, although the three of them were equally skilled and lucky, they fought back and forth. But without the admiral around, without Ziwi yelling and yelling, even bullying is fine, much better than before. I feel that playing cards is not interesting at all, so I might as well read a book. Shinano said, they may have encountered bad people, right? With Ruhi here, how can we be in danger? Moreover, the security here is so good. I have never heard of any crime. Shinano said, you usually don't go out. Daifeng glared at Shinano. Come back soon, I'll go take a look, Hood said, and she walked to the balcony. She looked towards the street and saw two people hugging and kissing under the streetlight. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 761. Sniffing, Hood felt a little overwhelmed. Although she knew very well that her admiral already had so many wedding ships, there would definitely be more and more in the future, and maybe no one in the entire garrison could escape. In short, no matter what, Ziwihi is definitely one of them, but he still feels very uncomfortable seeing such a scene. Obviously I am also a wedding ship, why don't I absolutely love the admiral as much as anyone else. Naturally, Daifeng didn't know what Sugu saw, otherwise he would have rushed to the balcony at lightning speed. That was big news, Ziwihi did something so bold without a ring. It's a pity that now she is just sleeping on the tatami. She is a little impatient, but her stomach is growling. Hood, have you seen them? I saw it just as he said it. Hood realized something was wrong. Where are they? Daifeng couldn't help complaining, what the hell, they haven't come back yet. The hugs and kisses looked intense. Once is not enough, I need to gasp for breath twice. I'm afraid it will take a while. With this in mind, Huda noticed that Daifeng stood up and seemed to want to come to the balcony. She quickly said, no, it seems that he saw it wrong. It's not the two of them. Hood-chan, you are really drunk. Daifeng sat down, feeling completely uninterested, and it would be a long time. At the same time, biting his lip, Hood felt a little aggrieved. I am the kind of wife who sees her husband having an affair outside but dare not make it public, and even helps to cover it up. So poor. He didn't deliberately count how long it had been, but it must have been quite a while. Only then did Hood see the two people separated and talking. Immediately afterwards, she suddenly felt a sense of crisis, secretly shouted, and quickly squatted on the ground. Almost discovered. She leaned on the guardrail and thought quietly. Why should I be afraid and hide? Isn't it because the adulterers are afraid? Shame. Under the bright street lights, Sugu let go of Ruhi. His mind went blank. Only then did Ruhi wake up when the night wind blew. I told you that you must have bad intentions when you ask people to drink, and I will suffer. Sugu was speechless, thinking that he must have been under the influence of alcohol, so this kind of thing happened. But I originally wanted to do this. After all, we have lived together for so long, and a lot of things happened during that period. I really like such a bright and charming short-haired girl. I like her to argue and then rebut. I like her sneer and her arrogant look. Looking towards the deserted street, Ruhi's voice sounded nonchalant, it's nothing special. Really, this is how drinking makes people brave. Sugu said, I have something absolutely amazing here. Do you want to try it? Just give it a try. Ruhi suddenly laughed, why are you so skilled? How many times have you kissed everyone? Sugu's expression was ugly and his smile was gone. Jiobai deserves to be beaten to death. Who is spreading Bai Shui in the garrison all day long? Ruhi said, did he take action against York City? He thought it was not a bulldozer, but it would be fast, but York City would not be able to do it yet. Sugu said, no. Missouri? No. Then there must be a counterattack. Sugu said, of course, she is my wedding ship. Yes, Ruhi thought to himself that the little maid's counterattack had already been a wedding ship not long ago, and was eaten by someone. I'm afraid there won't be any scum left. In the quiet night, cans were blown up by the wind and rolled on the street, and a newspaper flew up. She couldn't help but look to the side and saw that the lights in the apartment were still on. There was no one on the balcony, just many flowers and potted plants. She asked, Hood. Sugu took a look and paused, no. If Hood finds out, will she cut you into pieces? Ruhi asked. No way, Sugu thought to himself. Hood looked like a dignified and elegant British lady, who acted calmly. But in essence, his character is quite weak, he is easily bullied, and he can endure anything. But then again, honest people can become very scary once they are really angry. If you want, you can say that you will not be bored all day long. It has been a long time since you came out. Ruhi said, let's go back. Ruhi ran into the corridor first. Although he pretended not to care, he still felt a little shy. I thought, the Admiral can't be seen here. So she straightened her short hair and tucked it behind her ears. Then he touched his face, which was hot. He stretched out his fingers and touched his lips, which were a little moist. Suddenly I started to worry about gains and losses, and my first kiss was gone. Ding dong. After walking upstairs in 2 minutes, Ruhi rang the doorbell, and the door opened after a while. Daifeng stood at the door and complained, it's not that far away, why didn't you come back until now? Ruhi felt a little guilty, so Sugu raised the 2 big bags of snacks he was holding towards Daifeng. Daifeng, your things. Daifeng took the bag from Sugu's hand and opened it. Sugu said, it's a pity that there is no place selling kebabs or late-night snacks. Yes, but it's quite far away, Daifeng replied. Ruhi entered the room and saw Daifeng looking at him all the time, lowering his head while changing his shoes. Do I have flowers on my face? Your face is so red. You're already drunk after drinking that little wine. Daifeng felt that Ruhi was a little strange, but he didn't think too much about it. Ziwi went to the bathroom, she still needed to recover. At this time, he stood in front of the mirror, washed his face with his hands, and forced himself to calm down. Tell yourself it's just a kiss, no big deal. It should be like Akage, who is not shy no matter how he teases someone. On the other side, there was Sugu. To a certain extent, he was already an experienced driver and could see no problems at all. Daifeng poured out all the contents of the bag on the tatami and called to Hood and Shinano. After eating several snacks, Daifeng still didn't stop. Hood opened a bag of potato chips and Shinano selected a can of Coke. At this time, Ruhi came out. She barely recovered. She sat down next to Daifeng and picked up the poker. Seeing that no one was moving, she said, come again. We just bought wine and snacks. Don't stop talking. You guys play first, I'll eat something to regain my strength. Daifeng looked at the time and saw that he could still play for a while before going to bed. Shinano whispered, I have to go to work tomorrow. Don't go to work, Daifeng said, you only make a few bucks when you go to work. You can go back to the town hall when the time comes. Consultant Su, Daifeng, is your novel so good? I heard from your editor that the manuscript will be due this month. There will be corrections, typesetting, and printing later. Don't talk about such unhappy topics when you are so happy. Daifeng held his head and rolled on the tatami. I'm going to die. Shuffle the cards, deal them. It's you again, Shinano, drink. Ziwikaku smiled happily. After waiting for a long time, Daifeng couldn't help but remind loudly, Ruhi, it's your turn to play your cards. Ruhi, what are you thinking about? You're distracted, otherwise you should go to bed first. Daifeng was unhappy. This kind of thing had happened several times in a row. Only Hood was muttering, not knowing what to say. 2 drinks, Hood. Lucky E is Lucky E and can't escape. Do you have to attack every day if you join the garrison? Will the training be hard? It doesn't matter, I'm not afraid of hardship. Senior Yu Hangzan Akage must be very powerful, right? Will she be harsh? If I always fail to learn well, Will she scold others? Tian he, attack and destroy the enemy. It's you can't leave. Why, I'm an aircraft carrier, I want main guns. Boom, boom. Huh, I was shocked. I thought there was a torpedo. Well, where am I, on land or at sea? The waves are so big. Shinano felt dizzy and began to talk. Daifeng said, she is drunk. Ruhi looked at the time and said, it's 11 o'clock. It's quite late, get ready for bed. Daifeng stood up and began to make arrangements. Rukaku, you and I will help Shinano back to the room, and the three of us will sleep. Admiral, you and Hood will sleep in my room. And, remind you not to rummage through my drawers. I don't know how to turn it over. Sugu said, Daifeng, you must be hiding something terrible. Daifeng said loudly, I didn't write anything weird. Oh, Sugu deliberately showed an expression of sudden realization. Huda followed Sugu to Daifeng's room. She lowered her head and thought, sharing a different bed. Ruhi looked at the backs of the two of them, and she bit her lip. The bed is big enough for two people. There were no littered books or clothes. The trash can was clean. It looked like Daifeng had specially tidied the room. Hood, it's rare to meet a well-matched opponent. Did you have fun? It was late at night, and after drinking a little wine, Sugu started to take off his clothes when he was ready to go to bed. Hood said, Shinano is the most unlucky. Be happy, you will have someone to bully in the future. Sugu said, Daifeng is also an unfortunate girl, you have two people to bully. Admirals know how to bully people, and I don't like bullying people. Hood said, Royal Oak is also very unlucky. Yes, she is too. The royal hapless one. Speaking of the girl, Sugu smiled, which was so cute, I have been in a daze all day. She used to just go to work and sleep all day long. If she didn't recognize anyone, others wouldn't recognize her. Hood took off his skirt and shirt and got under the quilt. Sugu sat beside the bed and reached out to the bedside light switch, turn off the light. Yes, Hood huddled under the quilt, with only his head and arms exposed, and suddenly said, Admiral, I like you. It was a bit inexplicable, but after what happened just now, Sugu felt a little guilty. I like you too. When are you going to give Ziwikaku the ring, Admiral? Sugu turned off the light and did not fall asleep. He froze. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 762. Ship girls are not so casual, and it is almost impossible to do anything they want to do if they don't feel good about it. If you have a good feeling, even if you don't have a ring, you can do something. After all, the other party is the admiral. Who would think so much when he can't help himself? Ruhi didn't ask for the ring at the time, but he did these things and was irresponsible afterwards. The blackness of the ship girl is so great that it is definitely not something that a mortal can bear. The ring must be given, but it was difficult to speak to Hood, so Sugu could only remain silent. I was standing on the balcony and saw you guys kissing downstairs. It didn't look like Hood at all. His wife found out that her husband was having an affair outside, and she was angry and questioned harshly, or she was trying her best to suppress her anger, and her voice was cold. Her voice was soft and weak, as if she was asking if you were stealing candies or snacks. Sugu hesitated and was speechless. After coming out of the convenience store, I talked a lot with Ziwikaku, and finally this happened. I didn't think that much at all, maybe I considered the surrounding situation. When it was over, I realized that if someone stood on the balcony of the apartment, they could easily see what was happening below. As a ship girl, her eyesight is very good. I looked towards the balcony afterwards and saw no one, so I thought everything was fine. I never expected it, but I just didn't discover it. The curtains were drawn well, and there was only hazy light in the room. Hood looked at Sugu's back. I was the only one who saw it, and I didn't tell anyone else. Sugu thought that Daifeng was a little drunk and spoke unscrupulously. Ziwehi is her good friend. If she had seen it, she would have made a fuss. Of course, you might as well tease Ziwehi while he's sleeping at night. To be honest, it wouldn't be a big deal if Taifeng discovered him and was laughed at. Maybe that would be the end of the matter. Now I am alone, admitting the pressure alone, I really don't know what to do. Sophistry is not, nor is a confident admission. Hood covered the lower half of his face with the quilt. It's okay, Admiral, I'm not angry. Even if you are not angry, I feel very guilty. It feels better if you complain and curse. Thinking like this, Sugu said, well, I'm sorry. No need to apologize, Hood muttered, you already have so many wedding ships, and there will be more and more in the future. And Ziwehi will definitely become a wedding ship, everyone knows it. Although not as bold as Wichita, it was straightforward that I wanted to be a wedding ship. To be honest, she was so bold and heroic, and others thought she was joking. On the contrary, it was Ruhi who was half hiding his face while holding his lute, and everyone could tell at a glance what he was thinking. He was always making noises, so much so that Ziwehi would occasionally kill people and press their heads on the table. The little girl Longxiang has no idea how high the sky and the earth are. I really want to say it, but I don't want to either. But such an expression was really disgusting, and in fact, he really wanted to, so Sugu had to sigh. Shinano was already very drunk. He didn't know if Daifeng, Ziwikaku, or whoever was walking around in the living room, and heard the sound of footsteps. After being quiet for a while, Hood said cautiously, Admiral, I like you very much. I like you too. Sugu felt a little guilty. But this sentence is not a lie, it's just because he was caught doing it just now, and in any case, he is not so confident now. Hood said, Admiral, I am your wedding ship. Of course, Sugu said, you are my wedding ship and you must never leave me. That kiss. Hood's voice became smaller and smaller, until finally it was as thin as a mosquito and could not be heard at all. Why does everyone have it, whether it's the Prince of Wales or Prestige? He even had counterattacks, and now even Ziwehi had it, but he didn't. It feels like the Admiral is much closer to others than he is to himself, even though he is also a wedding man. Hood has two images, one is a dignified, elegant, and generous British lady. It seems that he is independent and can't be troubled by anything. The glory and pride of the British Empire are simply embarrassing. There is also an image of a doormat, which is very cute and I like it very much. At this time, Sugu saw her face flushed, and her eyes full of curiosity, longing, and desire. It's already a wedding ship anyway, so it's no big deal. It's just that I just kissed a girl, and now another girl is really a scumbag. Finally making up his mind, Sugu climbed from the bed to Hood's side and gently lifted the quilt. I saw that Hood had closed his eyes and his mouth was tightly closed, as if waiting for some severe test. Kissing, that's it? It's actually very ordinary, Sugu said. But it feels really hard to get started. Until he saw Hood open one eye, look at him cutely, and quickly close it again. Finally, he reached out his hand, brushed Hood's bangs, touched his face, and then leaned forward. The target is the slightly pale but attractive lips. After a long time of separation, Hood touched his lips, feeling a little dazed. Until a moment later, she felt a pair of hands hugging her. Let me give you a hug. Sugu was not an idiot, maybe it was also because of alcohol. Anyway, he got under the quilt and found Hood sleeping next to him, perhaps with his back turned to him because he was shy. So he stretched out his left hand and passed it under Hood's neck, and looped his right hand around half of his shoulders. Holding him gently and feeling Hood's body tremble slightly was a rare experience. Even if we have slept together in the same bed many times, hugs are rare. Sugu thought to himself that he had just met Huda and was not so open-minded. And Hood seems to be shy easily, always sleeping alone on the other side of the bed. Later, when I returned to the garrison, I had quite a lot of wedding ships, and each one had to be rotated for a long time every day. It was a rare occasion for me to stay overnight in Hood's room. In addition, Hood didn't seem to care at all. Every day he just held the cat and looked at the scenery, read a book, and then had afternoon tea, or devoted himself to Bismarck's noise. Although they also bear the title of wedding ship, there is no closeness. The hug was great, and he was thinking about many things in a mess. Hood suddenly said, "Admiral, you can touch me if you want." Huda's words were so straightforward that Sugu suddenly didn't know what to say. He said, "If you don't touch, you have nothing to touch." I feel a little annoyed. Even if it is not as prestigious as the Prince of Wales, it is too much to say so. Hood faced the window, his lips pursed. Within a few minutes, she felt something pinching her. There was fear in her voice. "Admiral, that one." Sugu hugged Huda from behind. Although she had no figure, she was such a pretty and lovely girl. He is not Luziawai, and he has not yet reached the stage where he can remain calm in his arms. As a strong-blooded man, it was impossible for him not to feel anything at all. He said, "Well, Hood, there's nothing I can do about it. It's your fault for being so cute." "It's not cute, I'm not a child, it's beautiful," Hood corrected. Suguhan didn't care. He said, "Hood is getting cuter and cuter, I really like him." His body was stiff and he didn't dare to make any move. Hood said, "The Admiral knows how to bully me." "Because it's very interesting." Sugu buried his head in Hood's hair, but unfortunately he couldn't smell anything. "If Admiral wants to do it, just do it." Hood felt like his face was bleeding. "No, I'll give her a hug." Sugu wasn't that anxious yet. It was obvious that the girl needed to be comforted now, not pushed down. Oh, neither of them spoke, enjoying the hug. Finally, Hood spoke, "Admiral, I like you very much." Sugu said, "I understand. But I've never even held your hand." Hood thought to himself, "It's always been a great feeling to go shopping hand in hand with our fingers intertwined." Huakong is an expert at talking to people and talking to ghosts. Sugu said, "I also want to hold hands with Hood. Let's do it tomorrow." Hood took courage. "That day, I saw Bismarck holding Xiao Zhao and leaning on your shoulders, and you were sitting under the magnolia tree in front of our dormitory. You were like a family of three, husband, wife, and child. I felt so happy. I'm really envious. Why is that thief cat? He's obviously a tomboy with a bad temper. I also want to sleep on your lap pillow and read a book like Bazai does. Well, I don't want it anymore. I feel so shy. Let's sit in the pavilion and have afternoon tea together. I like to eat scones and bubbles. Fu is also delicious. Well, the soup dumplings made by Yuxian are also delicious, but they can only be eaten in the morning, otherwise it would feel weird. A few days before we came out, I asked Richelieu to borrow a novel to read. She must have read it. It's over, but you won't lend it to me. I have no enmity with her, it's really abominable. Obviously I am the flagship of the Royal Navy and the glory of the Royal Navy, but no one listens to me. That guy Prince Eugen actually said that I am the mascot of the Royal Navy. I thought to myself, who told you to destroy your image? You always cause some messy things, which makes it difficult for people to deal with. Of course, no one will help you fight against Bismarck, nor can anyone help you teach Prince Eugen a lesson. Reputation has taken care of you in all aspects, but it's still not enough." Sugu really couldn't say anything, so he said, "Actually, I'm also the mascot of the garrison, not the admiral at all." "But everyone listens to you," Hood said. Lexington only made suggestions, and she never said much about what Sugu decided. Sugu said, "But they all listen to you, whether it's the Prince of Wales' reputation or counterattack. Hood complained, "Why am I so unlucky? It's so unfair." "There's nothing I can do about this," Sugu said, "I'm also unlucky." Hood was dissatisfied. "The Admiral's luck is obviously very good, the European Admiral." "Then I'll give you some luck," Sugu said. "Good." Hood kept talking, and Sugu was just a listener. Finally she got tired and whispered, "Admiral, I want to sleep." "Go to sleep. I'm not a night owl. I'm a casual player like Bazi. I usually go to bed at this hour. In addition, I drank so much wine and saw such heart-wrenching things." Finally, I felt a little comforted and said a lot more. Anyway, he was too tired, so he closed his eyes and Hood quickly fell asleep. At the same time, Sugu couldn't hold on anymore and fell into sleep. But when Sugu woke up the next day, he saw Hood as soon as he opened his eyes and found that she was looking at him. Messy blonde hair. Pretty face. Smooth shoulders. Delicate collarbone. The arms are as bright as jade. He held out his hand. "Hood. Looking for the lost ship girl." Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 763. With pillows behind his back, Sugu leaned against the head of the bed. "After enduring it all night, I woke up in the morning and it was just dawn, but I still couldn't help but eat such a cute Hood. Anyway, it's already a wedding. To be honest, of course I've thought about it before, but I just never had the chance." At this time, he saw Hood huddled under the quilt, with only one head exposed. Her face was flushed and her blonde hair was messy, and she couldn't help but think of Bazi's works. If he were replaced by Bismarck, the plot would be almost the same, and he would immediately show a knowing smile. It's a pity that there is one less cigarette after the event, and there is still a little bit of feeling. He raised his head, but was not looking at the ceiling, and suddenly said in a wicked way, "Hood-chan, thank you for the treat." He grabbed the edge of the quilt with both hands, his thighs pressed tightly together, and twisted around. Thinking of what just happened, Hood blushed. She looked at the window, the thick curtains were gently swaying, and she said, "I already said no, the Admiral is really a pervert." Sugu imitated Huda's tone, which seemed to be similar. "If the Admiral wants, it doesn't matter. That thieving cat is so lustful, in that case, okay. Will it hurt?" "Okay, Admiral, stop talking." Hood covered her face in shame until there was no more sound. She opened her middle and ring fingers, revealing her eyes. Seeing Hood's cute actions, Sugu smiled. But instead of being gentle and saying sweet words afterward, he couldn't help but bully him. "Hood-chan, it's delicious. I'll order it for you next time." Hood was completely angry. There was no such a hateful admiral that made people want to punch him in the chest. Thinking she couldn't go on like this, she rubbed her face, took a deep breath, and finally sat up. The sheet was just wrapped around her chest, leaving her white neck and shoulders exposed to the air. She smiled lightly, like a proud swan, and the British lady came back. "Admiral, you can't do this, you will make people annoying." "It's all eaten and wiped anyway, it doesn't matter anymore." Sugu leaned on Hood. He keenly noticed that the Admiral's eyes fell on his chest. Hood's eyes were slit. "Admiral, what are you looking at? You are smiling so strangely, like a gangster. This is not acceptable. You must be a gentleman." "There's nothing wrong with me, I'm definitely a gentleman." Sugu smiled happily, his gaze became more unscrupulous, and he nodded. "Hentai. It's not Japanese, so you can easily tell what it means literally. At the same time, it's not like Bazai, Saratoga, or Missouri, where I often hang out with Sugu and know all kinds of things." But even though she didn't know that clearly, Huda could still see the evil intentions in Sugu's expression. She couldn't help but said, "Admiral, I can also teach people a lesson. Don't think I'm easy to bully. The Prince of Wales, who had a straight face, was not afraid and still called him Big Brother. Bismarck, who spoke harshly, dared to reach out and turn her into a soft cat in minutes. Just a hood, not afraid at all. Of course, Lexington is still worried. After all, she has a trick, Admiral, congratulations on winning, try again. Sugu nodded thoughtfully and counted on his fingers, Lexington, Saratoga, Bismarck, North House, Prince of Wales, among them all, you are the youngest. He is not as sensitive as Veneto. He only heard half a word, and there was a little sign. Wait. Do not listen. Farewell. The quality 3 in Aero game is so smooth. But it's also a sore spot, and I feel sad every time I think about it. Isn't it already agreed that the bridge of the battleship is the breasts of the ship girl? Although it is not as illegal as Fuzu and Yamashiro, the bridge of the hood is not too short. Anyway, Hood lowered his head, and she quickly understood what he meant. She looked at Sugu and hummed, Ruhi isn't big either. Sugu said, she is not old, but neither are you. It's so clear. You guys were so fierce last night, so you must have touched him. Hood smiled sweetly, looking a bit like Lexington had everything under control. I thought to myself, the Admiral would be worried because he made a mistake yesterday, and he would definitely not be so imposing. However, Sugu was shameless and said, I want to, but I have no chance. Hood glared at Sugu, it was a bit shameful and he made no secret of it. However, Sugu didn't care. She was finally defeated and returned to being the recipient of the insult. She shrank back into the quilt, feeling sad for a while, and said, I don't want to either. I've tried hard, but there's nothing I can do. It just doesn't work. Sugu suggested, papaya, milk, peanuts, pig's trotters, longan, and walnuts too. I tried it. Hood said dismayed. I thought that every time I pretended to be nonchalant and asked Sheng Sheng to prepare papaya milk, especially every time the cafeteria prepared peanut stewed pig's feet, I always had to eat a lot and drink 2 bowls of soup. Even so, after such a long time, it is still of no use, and the measurements have not changed at all. Do you want to be like Veneto, who eats a lot every day, but if you can't do it, you still have to save face? I thought it was just Veneto. Sugu said, it turns out you've eaten it too. Hood's eyes suddenly became ferocious, and he looked like he was going to kill someone, but it was still useless. She was discouraged, but she couldn't serve him with her fists. I really don't discriminate. People who work hard are worthy of praise. For example, Wichita and Helena show off all day long, all relying on luck and no effort at all. I disdain it. Sugu suddenly asked out of curiosity, it's really of no use at all. Nothing. No. Hood crossed his hands and grabbed each arm. She felt a little uncomfortable that her efforts were not rewarded. After thinking for a while, Sugu said, honestly, you don't look that young usually. Why? Hood explained, because I'm wearing clothes. It's not just that you're wearing clothes, the difference is so big. Detective Sugu clapped his hands, I see, I thought about it, you must have added extra breast pads, so it's that big. No wonder I've never seen you before. Wear an open corset, and always wear clothes tightly. I'm telling you, you can't bear to tuck in more, otherwise even the Prince of Wales will not be your opponent. Now, don't do this kind of thing, Les, it's a shameful deception, it will end in the end. Even if you take off your clothes, you still have to expose your body, so don't be too vain. I didn't when it came to dignity, Hood retorted, no stuffing. Sugu's eyes became sharp, really not. No. Hood's eyes were firm. Sugu looked around, that's just stuffing the cat. Where did the ginger and fish cakes go? I don't know, maybe under the bed, or on top of the wardrobe. Really unable to explain, Hood simply retracted his head into the quilt, better to be an ostrich. So boring, no match at all. Sugu sighed, it would be better if he was in Missouri. After sitting for a while, he came back to his senses, walked out of bed, and looked at the alarm clock next to the desk. It was not too late, and another problem arose. He climbed into bed and patted Hood quickly. "What happened?" Hood showed his head from the quilt and threatened, "Admiral, I remind you, don't talk about that thing again, or I will bite you." "No more." Sugu paused. "I want to say, it's already 7:30, they should be up, maybe early." Not everyone likes to sleep in, so Sugu thought about it. Usually, he would get up by himself and exercise with Bismarck in the garrison. Ziwikaku usually gets up and goes for a walk with his sister Xianghe. Hood didn't have much energy. "I still want to sleep again." "Let's get up at 8 o'clock. I mean we just." Sugu explained, thinking that the sound of the tossing just now was quite loud. At night, he and Ruhi were seen by Hood. "Will this happen again?" "It would be bad if you were ignored, although it wouldn't be anything worth worrying about." "No way." But Hood panicked. "It starts so early, they can't possibly get up." "Their room is right next to our room," Sugu said expressionlessly. "Think about it, the little loli in the townhouse got up so early. Although she doesn't have it anymore, the little house used to take pictures of my door. Big Mackerel and Archerfish might have gotten up early. And Shinano, she has to get up early every day to prepare breakfast." Hood sat up. "It's all your fault." Sugu was speechless. Yes, it's all my fault." "What if they hear me? What else can I do?" "Cold salad." Sugu said. "It doesn't matter, the worst is that I will be laughed at." After saying that, he remembered that he told Ruhi last night that he had pushed Hood down today before he even kissed him. What would she think? With no other choice, Sugu got up and got dressed. "I have to take a shower." Unless the weather is really too cold, Sugu is still very particular about hygiene, as is everyone else in the garrison. Well, except for Bazai, but at least she keeps it basically clean and not sloppy. In addition, Bismarck would not allow her to do that, so the two sisters often bathed together, which was enviable. Then, there is only one problem that has been troubling everyone in the guardhouse, and that is that if the weather in the south wind is too humid, it will be too difficult to dry the clothes. In fact, the main reason is that after all the tossing, the clothes are in a mess and feel a little uncomfortable. Fortunately, I didn't take a shower last night, so I had an excuse this morning. Not only is his hair messy, Huda said, I also want to take a shower. Sugu blinked. Together. No, of course Hood refused, unable to accept it anyway. Sugu carried the clothes out of the room and bumped into Ruhi. Wearing an apron and a headscarf, she appeared to be helping prepare breakfast. Seeing Sugu holding the clothes, Ruhi asked, Admiral, what are you doing? Let's take a shower, Sugu said, I smell like alcohol. Go ahead, Ruhi said, I'm going to wash one later. I didn't wash it yesterday. Together. Roll. Entering the bathroom, Sugu supported the wall and frowned. Ruhi probably didn't notice anything. It seemed that nothing was discovered during the day, but Sugu still encountered a problem soon after.